I came into the group because my husband was diagnosed with prostate cancer that had spread to the lymph nodes, the bones and the spine. Asking questions, you felt like, should I really be asking this? Because it always felt like a burden to the consultant. There wasn't time for questions. It was, this is what we're doing, this is what's going to happen. But every time you asked a question, it felt as if you was challenging them. So they didn't really answer questions, I think, the way they should have done, and I don't think they give enough options. In terms of second opinions and things like that, nobody told us anything about that. It was more the group. It was the group that I relied on for any answers that I needed. I think having the group really helped me.
It's devastating. You're not expecting to hear them words, and I know that Anita actually thought she was told initially that she had IBS. I wouldn't go as far as to say it was a late diagnosis, but basically it was a blind diagnosis. Over a period of time, she was told that she had IBS. And then my niece went round to see my sister Anita, and she took one look at her. Siobhan said, "Nah, Auntie, you need to go to the hospital," and overrode her and phoned an ambulance for her. They got the biopsy, came back with it and told us what it was. And the care that she got after that wasn't terrible, but it was the lead up that was the thing that was a little bit annoying to me anyway.
And me and my auntie was in the Caribbean and she was coughing, and they were like, it may be a nodule or it could be scarring from the chemo. But my auntie was coughing quite a lot, and she said when we get back, she's gonna notify the consultants. And then it turns out after, I don't know how many months later, that's when they do the investigation to find out that she's got a nodule.
We went up to the hospital to discuss the nodule situation on her lungs. They said she was advised to have an operation, have the nodules removed, which was fine. We thought that was fine. There was no explanation of an option for keyhole surgery for the operation on my sister's lungs. So she got a cut down her back, which she didn't need to have. Christmas was not a washout. We made the best of it. You've got to make the best of it. But in hindsight, and knowing that the second nodule operation for the lungs meant that she could have had keyhole, which she did have the second time around, kind of like enraged me. Do you know what I mean? You're sitting there and you're thinking, well, it didn't need to be as invasive as it was the first time around. And that kind of upset me.
I was diagnosed with cancer, prostate cancer, in 2019.
The hospital were very like a conveyor belt. You step on our conveyor belt and you do this, followed by this, followed by this. And that was the only option they gave us. They just expected us to be diagnosed and act almost immediately. Not dealing with cancer before, we were obviously in a state of confusion, fear, what's going to happen next. So we wanted to get more information. But the hospital told us within 1 week of being diagnosed, they told us you've got to have prostrate out or radiotherapy and hormone treatment and all the consequences of that. 2 options they gave us. And before we even had a week to go away and think about it and do any kind of research, they were phoning us up from the hospital. The consultant at the hospital, we're talking professionals here, phoned us up and said, "Mr. Dalloway, what have you decided to do?" And we said, well, we're still researching, we haven't decided yet. And the consultant nurse told us, you have to make a decision which way you're going to go very soon, almost immediately, otherwise the hospital is going to be fined. And I said, what are you talking about? What has that got to do with us? Is this treatment that you're giving us in our best interest, or are we settling a bill for you? I didn't want to be rushing in and taking a treatment for my husband so we wouldn't get a fine for the hospital. That wasn't our motive or reason in any long shot. So that caused me to be suspicious and mistrusting off the bat.
Because of the group from ETU, we was able to get more information. Otherwise, we would have been left in the dark.
It just so happened that I was introduced to from ETU after I went through a lot of my journey. It would have been nice to have had that more impact, because there's a lot of things that I could have maybe got more support with. So at the time, going through the diagnosis, having to make decisions, actually trying to challenge the medical team on certain decisions that they wanted for me, also getting them to listen to me when I felt that the treatment wasn't right, wasn't making me feel good. It was quite challenging as well. So yeah, there was a lot of things that was hard to deal with at that time.
The mistrust is definitely always there, you know, and hopefully things can improve with the likes of From Me to You and the organisation to enlighten our community and give more support, because there is also that cultural aspect and traditional aspect as well.